It was supposed to be a peaceful Thanksgiving dinner until my sister dropped a bombshell. Suddenly, the room went silent when she stood up and declared, "We took a vote, you're not part of this family anymore." But what happened next? Let's just say I had a little surprise in my bag, and once she saw it, everything changed. Trust me, you won't want to miss this. Thanksgiving dinner was just getting started when my sister suddenly stood up and announced, loud and proud, "We took a vote, you're not part of this family anymore." The room erupted. People actually clapped. I let out a quiet chuckle and said calmly, "Well then, I guess you won't be needing this." I reached into my bag and placed a folder in the middle of the table. She opened it, and the second she saw what was inside, she started screaming. Rewind just a few moments earlier, Emma had stood up with that smug, over-practiced grin plastered across her face and said, "Before we carve the turkey, there's something we need to talk about." The room fell silent. Forks hovered midair. My stomach twisted into knots. I knew that voice. It was the same one she used when I got grounded at 15 for a party I never even went to. "We had a family vote," she went on, slowly turning her gaze around the table like she was accepting some kind of crown. "And we've decided you're out. You're not family anymore." Silence. And then applause. Sophia, my cousin, clapped like she was front row at a concert. Uncle Ethan lifted his wine glass like it was some kind of toast. And my mom? She actually laughed and said, "Well, someone finally said it." I sat there frozen, just staring at my plate. The stuffing was cold now, but my blood was burning. My dad didn't even make eye contact. He just sipped his beer and muttered, "Probably for the best." "Wow," I said slowly, pushing back my chair. "You guys actually rehearsed this?" Emma's smile grew wider. "You've been toxic for years," she said. "We're just done pretending." "You're not family," my mom added like she was commenting on the weather, scooping cranberry sauce onto her plate. It was unanimous. I looked around the table. No one objected. Not one single person. "All right," I said under my breath. "Good." Then I reached into my bag and pulled out a thick folder. "Figured something like this might happen," I said, setting it down carefully in the middle of the table. The sound it made, a deep thunk, cut through their laughter like a knife. Emma narrowed her eyes. "What's that?" I leaned back in my chair and crossed my arms. "Why don't you take a look?" She snatched it up, smirking like she was already winning, that same smug look she always wore when she thought she had the upper hand. But the second she flipped to the first page, her face dropped. That smile vanished. She turned the next page, then another, and then she screamed. And I mean screamed. That high-pitched horror movie kind of scream that chills your spine. Her chair toppled over as she jumped to her feet, slamming the folder shut like it had burned her. "You monster," she yelled. "You twisted freak." Gasps rippled through the room. David, her husband, grabbed the folder and started flipping through it. His jaw dropped. He looked up at me. "Is this?" I gave him a single nod. "It's all real," I said. "Every word. Every receipt. Every screenshot." The room went completely still. You could have heard a fork drop all the way from the kitchen. My mom opened her mouth to say something, then closed it again. She looked like a fish gasping for air. "You all really thought I wouldn't push back," I said, standing slowly. "You thought I'd stay quiet. Be the doormat. The wallet." I leaned in, stared Emma dead in the eye. "Your little performance? It's over. And you're probably wondering what exactly was in that folder. We'll get there. But first, let me explain how this all came to be. Because Emma didn't just wake up one day and decide to cut me off. That decision was built piece by piece over years. Little comments. Small betrayals. Brick by brick. Truth is, I was never their favorite. Not even close. Emma was the golden girl. Straight A's, shiny smile, knew how to charm every room she walked into. She could lie right to someone's face and somehow have them thank her afterward. Me? I was quiet. Kept to myself. Didn't need attention, and they hated that. They took my silence as weakness. I moved out at 19, paid my own way through college, worked 2 jobs, and never once asked for help. Emma, on the other hand, failed out of 2 majors, bounced around Europe to find herself, and then came home to marry David, basically a walking LinkedIn profile in a blazer. And the wedding? I paid for half. My parents said they couldn't afford it, but then took off on a 2-week cruise right afterward. Did I complain? Never. I never did. Even when they joked about me being the family accountant, I kept helping, paid for Dad's dental work, sent money when Mom said the heating bill was late, even covered part of Sophia's college tuition when her scholarship fell through. They'd say thank you, sure, but always with that tone. The one that said, "Well, of course you would help. You've got no one else." And maybe that was the root of it. I'm single. No partner, no kids. No chaos. Just me, my job, and my dog. And to them, that meant I had nothing better to do than fund their mistakes. Emma especially treated me like her personal emergency fund. When David lost his job, just a little loan. When her car broke down, you make six figures, what's a couple grand? When her kid needed therapy and the insurance didn't cover it, guess who she called? And I helped. Every time. Because I kept telling myself, it's family. But over time, helping turned into obligation. Then into expectation. Then into demand. It started with little digs. Nice wine, must be good to afford it. Of course you're early. You don't have any kids to wrangle. I wish I could work late every night and avoid my husband too. Then it got meaner. You're so cold, maybe that's why you're still single. You don't know real stress. You don't have a real life. You're just bitter that nobody needs you. But the irony? They did need me. All the time. For money. For convenience. Quietly, always, but constantly. It all started behind closed doors. Then, out of nowhere, I got a text. It was Emma. Hey, could you co-sign a small business loan for us? David and I want to open a wellness cafe. I replied simply, no. Emma came back with, wow. Seriously? Then, nothing. Complete silence. That was 3 months ago. Since then, it's been like I vanished from the family. Mom stopped calling altogether. Dad started sending these short, one-word texts like I was a stranger. Nobody even told me about the last family dinner. Emma blocked me on all her socials after posting some dramatic story about cutting off toxic people. But I didn't sit around feeling sorry for myself. I got to work. Literally pulled out receipts, actual receipts. See, I keep track of everything. I've got it all: bank transactions, email threads, screenshots, dates. I'm not clueless. And just over the past 5 years, I'd sent more than $78,000 to different members of my family. Yeah, 78 grand. $8,000 for David's rehab. $2,300 for Emma's emergency dental work, which, surprise, turned out to be elective veneers. $1,500 for Dad's back surgery. $12,000 to help Mom pay off credit card debt. $6,000 to help Sophia move into college. $4,500 for a so-called family emergency that was actually a vacation to Cabo. Not one person, not a single one, offered to pay me back. They just kept taking. And the moment I stopped handing it out, suddenly I was the selfish one. So I compiled everything. Every text and email asking for money. Screenshots of Emma calling me manipulative in a message to her friend just because I said no to the loan. A timeline listing out every major payment I made over the past 5 years. And to top it off, I included social media posts where they laughed at me behind my back. I even had a screenshot of Emma calling me a cash cow with no spine in some private comment thread she didn't realize I could see. So yeah, that's what she saw when she opened that folder. That's what made her scream. Because it wasn't just that she got called out. She was picked apart detail by detail, line by line, page by page. And the rest of the family? They finally saw it too. Mom looked like she was about to faint. David? He zeroed in on a line that said I'd covered $4,200 of Emma's credit card bill used at a hotel in Santa Monica with someone named Chloe. He just muttered, "What is this?" I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. For once, I wasn't on the defense. I was just showing them the facts. Mom's voice wavered as she finally asked, "You kept records?" "Of everything." I turned to her, calm as ever. "You never remembered. So somebody had to." Emma was still standing, pale as a ghost, fists clenched by her sides. Her eyes darted between me, David, and the folder. "This is a violation," she snapped. "You had no right." "No right?" I said, rising to my feet. "You just stood in front of everyone here and said I wasn't family. You all applauded. And now you're mad that I came prepared." David flipped another page. "What's the Santa Monica charge?" His voice was tight. Emma's head whipped toward him. "Don't start." "Who's Chloe?" he asked. "Why were you at a hotel for 3 nights on my credit card?" She didn't answer. Didn't need to. Her silence said it all. Mom raised her hands, trying to keep the peace. "Okay, let's just all take a breath. Can we be reasonable?" "Sure," I said. "Let's be reasonable. Let's talk about that time you called me a parasite while cashing the check I sent you." She blinked. "That's not fair. We were under a lot of stress." "No," I snapped. "You were under stress. And I was the one fixing it. Every single time. And the one time I say no, suddenly I'm the villain." Dad, who hadn't said a thing up until then, finally chimed in. "You're blowing this way out of proportion." I turned to him. My voice dropped low. "You let them treat me like this for years. You saw it. You heard it. And you let it slide because it was easier than standing up to them. He didn't say a word. Didn't deny it either. Then Emma slammed her hand down on the table. You're just bitter because nobody needs you anymore. I stared her down. Wrong, I said coldly. I'm not bitter. I'm finished. She gave this bitter little laugh. You realize how ridiculous this all is, right? A folder? Screenshots? You think this makes you a victim? It just makes you look like a control freak. And all you're doing, I said, stepping closer, is proving that you only cared about me as long as I was covering your bills. You don't get to act like a martyr, she shouted. You chose to help. No one forced you. Yeah, I said, not backing down. But somehow you all expected it, every time, until it stopped being help and turned into obligation. And the second I stopped, you kicked me out like I never mattered. My voice cracked, not from sadness, but from anger. You didn't want a brother. You wanted a walking wallet. David stood up, still holding the folder. Is this true? He asked Emma, his voice flat. She looked at him, no fake tears, no excuses, just silence. You lied to me, he said, about the hotel, the money, about him. You made it seem like he was just being crazy. I had to, she burst out. He was turning everyone against me. I wasn't, I said. You managed that just fine on your own. The room went still again. Then Mom leaned in, trying one last time, her voice softening. Sweetheart, maybe we overreacted, but we're still family. Families argue. Let's just move past this. I cut her off. You're not listening to me. She looked confused. What? I'm not here asking for forgiveness. Or peace. I'm letting you know, I'm done. Emma curled her lip in a sneer. Oh please, quit acting like this is some grand moment. You've said this before. I met her gaze head on. Not like this, I said steady. My hand slid into my coat pocket, and I pulled out a second envelope. What now? My dad asked, sounding worn out and fed up. I tossed the envelope onto the table. David snagged it just before it could fall to the floor. He tore it open and read the first line. His eyes grew wide. What is this? He asked in a low voice. I didn't wait for him to figure it out. Power of attorney documents, I said. For Mom. Cancelled. Medical proxy. Gone. Emergency contact. Removed. I already signed everything. I looked them all in the eye. Legally and emotionally. I'm no longer tied to any of you. My mom gasped. You're really cutting us off? Entirely? All the way? I replied without hesitation. Starting now. You're being selfish, she said, her voice breaking as tears welled up in her eyes. We made some mistakes. Sure, but we're still your family. I turned toward her, my voice soft but resolute. No, you're not. I reached for my coat, gave them one final look, and walked out the front door. Right in the middle of Thanksgiving dinner. I left them sitting there, stunned, surrounded by cold food and hard truths. I didn't look back. Not because I didn't care. Because I did. It hurt. But as the door clicked shut behind me, and I stepped off their porch into the cold November air, something shifted inside me. For the first time in what felt like forever, I could finally breathe. I didn't go straight home. Instead, I veered off toward the lake, the same one Dad used to take me to when we'd fish together. I parked, got out, and just sat there. Let the silence settle in. I stared across the glassy surface of the water and felt something I hadn't in years. Absolutely nothing pulling at me. No guilt. No pressure. No one waiting on a favor or a ride or a handout. Just stillness. The next morning, nothing. The day after that, still silent. But on day 3 it started. First it was Mom. A missed call. Then another. Then a voicemail. You really meant it? We were angry. Sure. But we're still your family. I didn't answer. Then the text started rolling in. Emma first. You don't even realize what you've done. David's filing for divorce. You happy now? Something's seriously wrong with you. Then Dad chimed in. You crossed the line. We all said things we didn't mean. But what you did, that was a bomb. Your mother's a wreck. Fix this. I didn't respond to any of them. And you know what? I thought I'd feel torn up about it. That I'd lie awake, wondering if I'd gone too far. But instead, I slept better than I had in years. No more overthinking every message. No more bracing for the next guilt trip or late-night cash request labeled as an emergency. For the first time in a decade, my own thoughts were loud and clear. I started waking up early, going for long runs, brewed coffee slow and quiet, made the appointments I'd been putting off for years. Dentist, doctor, even therapy, not because I was shattered, but because, for once, I had permission to take care of me. I updated my emergency contacts, took my parents off, changed every password, froze every shared account they could access. I blocked Emma everywhere. It wasn't about revenge. It was about finally closing the book. A week after Thanksgiving, I got a text from Sophia, my cousin, the one who clapped when they all turned on me. I didn't know you paid my tuition. I'm sorry. I follow the others. You were the only one who ever actually helped. I didn't reply, but I read it. Twice. Then David messaged me. I filed the divorce papers. Everything in that envelope checked out. She cheated, lied, manipulated. Not just you, me too. You did the right thing. I should have left sooner. I wasn't expecting that. But it hit. A few days later, I did something I hadn't done in years. I applied for a job out of town. Not because I was running away, but because finally I was free. No more, you should stay close to home. No more, who's going to take care of them if you leave? I started reconnecting with old friends, people I distanced myself from because I was always tied up with family drama. And the crazy thing? Some of them had seen my Reddit post. They reached out. Just to say, we're proud of you. That was brave. Nobody asked for a favor. No guilt. No spin. Just real, honest support. One person asked, "Don't you regret it?" I paused for a second, then said, "The only thing I regret is not doing it sooner." I thought that was the end. And in many ways it was. But with people like that, nothing ever ends cleanly. Not when they start to feel what life's like without you around. The first few weeks after Thanksgiving were peaceful. Strangely, beautifully quiet. No calls. No guilt trips. Just peace. Then came Christmas. On December 22nd, my mom sent me a text. Just a picture. Their living room decorated for the holidays, stockings, a tree half done. And right in the middle, a huge empty space where the gifts usually went. "It doesn't feel the same without you," the caption read. "Ellie keeps asking why her uncle isn't coming this year." I stared at that image for a long time. No apology. No accountability. Just the usual manipulative message. Look what you've done. Look who you're hurting. I didn't write back. December 23rd, Emma tried calling. I let it ring. Then she messaged me. "I know I messed up. But you don't have to punish everyone. Just come by for Ellie. She says she misses you." 2 minutes later, another message. "Also, Mom and Dad are behind on the mortgage. I know you've stopped caring, but the bank called today. Thought you'd want to know." And just like that, there it was. The guilt-wrapped request, soft on the surface, but it always came down to the same thing, another ask. I blocked the number. It was December 24th. Another text buzzed through, this time from Dad. "You made your point. We get it. But enough is enough. We need help. We're still your family." That night, I sat by the fireplace, alone, holding a glass of wine. I glanced around my tiny apartment. No Christmas tree. No sounds. Just me in the silence they always swore would break me. But for the first time in my life, I was actually grateful for that quiet. It didn't stop there. January rolled in and I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I answered out of habit. "Is this Daniel?" a man's voice asked. "Yeah. Who's this?" "My name is Mark," he said. "I'm calling on behalf of your father. He mentioned you're the primary executor of the family trust." I froze. "I revoked that months ago," I said. "It's been legally finalized by the family attorney. I'm no longer tied to anything." He paused. "I understand. Your father said he hasn't been able to reach you and asked me to look into some options." Of course he did. They were in a bind again. Emma and my parents had officially run out of lifelines. The ATM was shut down. The safety net had vanished. And now? They were getting creative. I hung up without saying another word. But the final blow landed in February. A letter showed up in the mail, handwritten, no return address. But I knew my mother's handwriting the moment I saw it. 3 pages inside. The first page was all regret. "We said things in the heat of the moment. You've always been the strong one. We never realized how much we relied on you." Page 2 took a turn into guilt. Your dad's health is declining. Emma's completely on her own. We're worried about Ellie, she's having a hard time. And the third page? That was the hook. We're selling the house, but we're underwater on the loan. We just need a little help to get through this. Then we'll never ask again. Please, Daniel. Do it for your dad. Do it for the family. I sat there with the letter in my hands. Let myself feel every ounce of emotion they hoped I would. That crushing weight of responsibility. The sting of obligation. That gnawing urge to fix things I didn't break. Then I folded it. Got up. Walked to the kitchen-ish. And dropped it in the trash. Here's the truth. They weren't asking for support. They were asking for access. Again. They didn't want me back. They wanted the version of me who never said no. The one who paid quietly. Carried the weight in silence. Took the hits without complaint. But that guy? He's not here anymore. I'm not their punching bag. Not their personal bank. Not the glue barely holding a broken family together. I'm done. And the part that scares them most? I'm doing just fine without them. I got a new job. Moved to a different city. A bigger place. A clean start. I started volunteering on weekends, not because anyone needed me to, but because I wanted to. I built a life where no one calls at 11 p.m. expecting me to clean up a mess they made. Where I'm not punished for standing on my own. Where kindness isn't turned into leverage. I don't regret helping them. But I do regret how long it took me to stop. You want to know what peace actually feels like? It's not about being surrounded by family. It's being free from the ones who only remember you exist when they need something. Update months later. I didn't think this post would blow up. Honestly, I just needed to get it out of my system. To put it somewhere real. But I read every single comment. To those of you who said you were brave or they don't deserve you, thank you. I didn't realize how much I needed to hear that until I did. And to the people who asked, but what if they change? Yeah, I've thought about that too. It's been a few months now. They didn't change. After I cut ties, after the folders, the silence, the yelling, the guilt trips, the letters, I hoped someone would finally get it. Maybe even apologize. They didn't. They went quiet at first. Then strategic. Then desperate. Then nasty. But me? I got free. Since then I've moved. I found a job that lets me sleep at night. I started real therapy, the kind where you stop trying to fix everyone else and finally learn to sit still with your own self. I cook for myself. I sleep better. I spend more time outside. And when my phone buzzes, I don't flinch anymore. Sure, sometimes I think about Ellie. About what she's being taught. What she might grow up thinking is normal. But I also know this. I was the example, the one who finally said enough. Just a few days ago, I got another letter. Handwritten. From my mom. 3 words, we're still family. No explanation. No apology. No accountability. Just another hook. And for the first time ever, I didn't feel a thing. No hurt. No anger. Just nothing. I tossed it in the trash and made dinner. So now I'm back here. Because this place? It gave me a kind of clarity I didn't see coming. Strangers saw me more clearly than my own family ever did. So here's my question. Did I do the right thing? Cutting them off. Dropping the weight. Saying no and meaning it. Was I too harsh? Or was I finally just done being the only one holding it all together? I don't know. But here's what I do know. For the first time in my life, I'm not just surviving. I'm actually living. Thanks for listening. Still here. Still breathing. Still free.